Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm so excited for today's video. I have my cup of coffee with me and I'm going to be talking about my January reading recap and my February TBR list. And I can't wait. It's not getting over a sickness. I still kind of am sick, honestly. So if I sound rough this video, forgive me. Hopefully it's not too bad. But I just want to go over my January books, what I thought about them, recap them, and then I'm going to get into my February trajectory ahead of me. So, without further ado, the first book that I read this January was There's Something About Mary by Cody Hall. This book I gave a 2 out of 5 star because it's just your traditional romance. It was like frenemies to lovers, I would say. They both worked on the same farm and they grew up together. He has a kid, so it's a single parent trope if you like that. But the main character's name is Mary, and it's a sweet little love story, especially for Christmas time. I would highly recommend it. But I just had been reading a lot of the same thing, and it just felt bland and kind of the same as everything else I've been reading. So, yeah, I don't know. It wasn't my favorite read. The next book I read was Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. This book I gave a 2 out of 5. I almost didn't finish this book because it just got too much for me romantically, if you know what I mean. But it was just kind of spicy and I just don't love that and was not expecting that from this book really. But it was just a really cool concept, honestly. It's about a ice skater falling in love with a hockey player because they are having to share the same practice stadium because something happens where they don't have their own separate practice stadium anymore. But then also her partner, her figure skating partner, there's a lot of things going on with him. Is he in love with her? Is he jealous of her new boyfriend? Is he trying to sabotage her? There's a lot of interesting stuff there. That is a part of the book that really kept me going because it was just weird what was happening. But the romance of it all was not my cup of tea because it was just not my type of romance. But yeah, so this was just a 2 out of 5 read again. So I didn't start January off that well, but then I read The Housemaid by Freda McFadden. I don't know, guys, how to pronounce her name. But I'm sure you've seen this book and the cover a million times on TikTok or YouTube. But this book was amazing. I think it lived up so well to the hype. I rated it a 5 out of 5 stars because I did not see any of those twists coming. I don't know if I'm just an amateur at reading or if I just have never really read a good mystery, but I just was amazed by how much that book shocked me, and I highly recommend if you're into any type of thriller, romance. It has it all, and it's really good. The other benefit is that it is a trilogy. It's a series. The next book in the series is The Housemaid's Secret. This book I rated a 4 out of 5 because it was very good. Almost a 5 out of 5. But I just feel like reading it right after The Housemaid, it just was not quite as good as The Housemaid. But it was very, very good still. And by no means would I recommend it any less than The Housemaid. And I think if you're going to start The Housemaid, you've got to read all 3 because the fact that this is all happening to one character is just mind-boggling. And it's just a good story. So I highly recommend this book as well. Then the fourth book I read the fifth book I read this month was The Housemaid is Watching, which is the final book of this series, I believe. And I really liked this book because it was quite different than the other 2, but I did give it a 3 out of 5 because compared to the mystery of the other ones, you kind of could see some of the stuff coming a little bit more with this book because you know the characters so well and all of that. And I don't know, wasn't quite as phenomenal as the first book, I would say, but I would still highly recommend the entire series. Then the final book, the sixth book I read in January, was Happy Place by Emily Henry. This book left me very disappointed, and I hate to cause any drama or anything because I know everybody loves this book, and I've heard so many good readers who have read thousands of books rate this book like one of the best books I've ever read. But I just don't see it. I don't know. I couldn't get into it. I thought at the 50% point, maybe I'm gonna get into it. It got a little good. It's definitely a coming of age, kind of a sappy book. It's not the most happy ending ever, I guess. Well, actually the ending is pretty happy, but this is about a heartbreak, so you're in your feels a lot in this book. There's flashbacks if you love that kind of thing, and that's what I've noticed with Emily Henry in both of her books I've read. I've read The People We Meet on Vacation, which I honestly liked better than this book. I gave this 2 out of 5 stars, but I've heard this was better than that one. But anyways, she loves to write the past and then the future and skip back and forth, which is kind of cool, but I don't know, it just was very hard for me to get into, and I don't know if I'm missing something, if I'm just not that good of a reader or something, because I feel like some of the best readers who have really good taste and stuff love this book, and I can't get into her reading, and I don't think I'm gonna give any other book a try unless somebody highly tells me I have to forget about this book and the other one I read and just give her a try again. But yeah, I was very disappointed by Happy Place, and that was my final read of January. So without further ado, now I'm going to get into my February TBR. I do not have a TBR cart and a TBR jar where I'm going to be pulling out the themes. I really hope to do that maybe next month, hopefully. For now, I'm going to show you guys the books I do have and that I hope to read in the month of February. So the first book I'm going to show you guys is called Sisters Behaving Badly by Maddie Please. This book, I've never even seen anybody read this book, but my sister got it for me at a book sale, and she thought it was funny because her name is Maddie and we're sisters, and so I just kind of have to read it because I'm interested to see what it's about, and it's kind of a silly title, and I don't know. Who knows? It might be amazing. I think from what I've gathered, it's about 2 sisters who aren't that close, but then they're going back to renovate this farmhouse that they inherited, and they bond. I think there's some romance, but it's a very sisterly bond book. And so I'm excited to read about it. It seems fun. Then the next book is Of Literature and Lattes by Catherine Ray. This book is a small town romance from what I've gathered. I believe the main character falls in love with a coffee shop owner as she's helping him in his business. And I don't know. I'm excited. I think this is just a classic book for the month of February. You've got to throw a romance in there, so this is mine for the month. Then the next book I'm going to put on the screen is Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings, I believe. And I've heard so much about this series. I believe there's 5 books in the series, and I just could not wait any longer to get a part of the hype of this series, and I'm just excited to see what I think about it. I've heard it is a drama, and it's not necessarily in the romance. It's not fantasy. It's not a genre other than drama. So I'm excited because I haven't read much of that, I feel. So I'm excited to get into it. Some people have claimed this is the best series there is, and I don't know. I'm waiting on it to come in from Amazon, so we will see what I think. I've got Spark of the Everflame. This is a fantasy book that is written by Penn Cole that I have heard very good things about. I've heard this is a good fantasy book that has a lot of twists and turns that you don't see coming. Some of the readers who I've seen reading this have said they were halfway through the book and they're just they can't even imagine all that this series will hold. And I think there's 4 books, and so I'm excited to join this world. I feel like I'm always in, like, the last fantasy book I read was Fourth Wing, which is like super overly hyped fantasy book. Not that I hate it or anything, but I don't know, I'm excited to get into like a more niche part of fantasy, if I could say that. I don't know. Maybe this is very hyped and I'm just out of the loop, but I don't know. I'm very excited to read this and see what I think of it. Then the next thing is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, written by Sangu Mandana. I am very excited for this book. I've seen this book around and I never really thought anything of it until I've heard so many great recommendations about how sweet and like wholesome this fantasy book is. I believe it's about, it follows a main character who is a witch in a society where witches are like having to hide themselves and they're not able to be public. And she is training up 3 younger witches through like some sort of connection. I don't know. I don't really know what it's about fully, but I am very excited and intrigued to get into this book because I've heard great things about it. And then the final book of the month that I'm probably the most excited about is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, written by Heather Fawcett. I don't know, guys. But I'm very excited to read this. I've heard, once again, amazing things about this book. This book is a trilogy. That's the word I was looking for earlier. This book is a trilogy, and I believe it's about Emily Wilde. I'm assuming, but she's writing an encyclopedia of fairies, and apparently this fantasy world is just very unique, like very all-encompassing, all that you've ever would want in a fantasy world, and that just hooks me in, and I can't wait to read it and see what I think about it. So that is my 6 TBR reads for February. I originally made the goal of reading 2 books a month because I've never done like an entire year of reading like this, but I've just really gotten into it, and last month I read 6, so I thought I'd just put 6 more books on my TBR, so we'll see. I know for some people 6 is like an easy read, but for me, I have not always read this much, but I'm very excited to dive in and get more, variety in my reading because I haven't read fantasy in a while and I really do love it. So we will see what I think. Let me know if you want to see any book vlogs or anything like that. Not all my videos are going to be book content on this channel, but I do definitely want to film some fun things if you're interested because I love watching it. So if you want to see more TBR, you want to see a March TBR with themes or something, let me know. If you want to see a book vlog or recap of the books I just showed you and what I think on them, then, stay tuned, let me know. Leave the books you're reading in the comments and give this video a like and subscribe to see more. And yeah, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed a look into my bookshelf, and I can't wait to get into them this month. So I will see you guys soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.